So on this episode, we sat down with Jason, one of our project managers, who Daniel lovingly refers to as, what is it?
He's the window and door guy.
We found out a lot about his previous experience before being with Reisinger. And I mean, it sounds like he's got a whole wealth of experience in all kinds of things.
Yeah, absolutely. We're previous business owners. So he talks a little bit about kind of getting into that. Another one. Yeah, exactly. But I think it was cool too. We talked a bit about his day in the life of a project manager at Reisinger Build and what does that look like, which I think, you know, not everyone does it the same, but Jason is one of the best. And it's really interesting to hear how he goes through his day. All right, today we're sitting down with Jason Francis, one of our project managers here at Reisinger Build, and we want to chat, get to know you a little bit, and find out more what makes you tick.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here and share a little bit about what we do out in the field. I've been with Reisinger for a couple years now, primarily focused on the higher end new construction. My background prior to this, actually, funny story, I grew up in Houston. My father was a surgeon, and he wanted to motivate us to stay in school and prioritize the academics. So he got us, starting at the age of 12, he got us the worst possible jobs he could get. If it was the ship channel or it was, landscaping at gas stations or driving tractors or, being a gopher on a construction site, I did all the worst jobs possible. I stayed in school. I did well in school. I got out, became a financial advisor, wore a suit, did all the things I thought I was supposed to do, and I absolutely hated it.
Oh, wow.
I developed a love for working outside, working with my hands and working with
so it backfired.
Craftsmen. And so it totally backfired.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then just got back into construction and just through a passion of learning and developing my business, it really dominoed into high-level design from remodels, and that got into new construction. Then through necessities of complexities of construction and design, I integrated carpenters and high-level trim carpenters in order to execute some of these sort of niche details and, this migration to really large doors and windows and installers were struggling with. And so then I developed an installation business.
So before we get too far along on that, because I definitely want to hear about that, can you just break down a little bit more that actual transition from the finance business world to that, like what was making that leap like and
or was there some like catalyst that kind of pushed you out?
My wife was pregnant. We had just moved to Austin. And
perfect time to quit your job, right?
I guess we'd moved to Austin for that job. Yeah. And it had been a couple of years, and the pay was a struggle, right? I was a 20-something-year-old kid asking millionaires to give me their money. Yeah. And it just was, it seemed insincere, and it wasn't tangible. It wasn't something I could get my hands around.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it just felt like I couldn't be me, and it felt fake. Mm-hmm. And so I couldn't be successful in that environment. Yeah. So I made the choice to step away with my wife's support, of course, and actually went into solar business. We were selling solar installations on roofs, and then through our own education, realized that efficiency upgrades was a better value in combination with solar. So that got us into attic retrofits, then windows.
So was this a company you went to work for or something that you
I started with the company, and then it fell apart through some financing difficulties, and a handful of us got together and said, let's just go out and do what we do.
Cool.
We picked a street, we knocked on some doors, and 2 months later, every house on the street had solar.
Wow.
So, and then those clients, we developed that trust, started asking for other things and word of mouth. And before I knew it, I was a builder and a contractor, and it was sort of by accident.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Really
and then I know you as the window and door guy. You talked about the efficiency upgrades. Is that sort of how you transitioned to that?
As I got into more aspects of the home, I developed a larger interest in the envelope and the overall aspects of it. That's when I came across Matt and really started learning a ton from his site. Mm-hmm. And then when this opportunity came up to come work here, I really jumped on it because kind of that, there's that celebrityism, right? Like I learned from this guy. I've been watching this guy for years. I want to see it firsthand. I want to work with him firsthand.
Yeah.
And so I left that behind, but all that experience and all that knowledge I'm able to build on here with other experienced builders.
Yeah.
So one quick question. I'm going to go back again.
Yeah.
On the window and door company, like was that something entirely separate from that first one, or did it morph into that?
Kind of a funny story too. So I was underwater with projects. I had 2 big remodels to the stud. I had a new construction out in Wimberley, and I had pipeline jobs, and there just wasn't enough carpenters out there to handle those kinds of all that happening at the same time. And so I found a labor manager, and I said, go find me people. And I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Money Pit, but he basically brought 100 people to 2 of my job sites. And on the first day, we fired, 20 something of them. And then within the next couple of days, you would just pick guys that were, not working, or the con man, or the conflict starter. And by the end of a couple of weeks, we were down to 15 guys. And so we used those 15 guys to execute the work.
That's crazy.
It's amazing.
And
what a great system.
It feels like a reality show.
And I felt like we were really finding the best workers out there, right? Because it started with 200 applicants, right?
Oh, wow.
After we got through the demo aspect of it, we got down to 7 guys. And then I had basically the 7 best carpenters I had come across, and I didn't want to turn them loose. Yeah. So I called the window guys that I've worked with and said, do you need some installation work? Because we've really dialed in these sliding doors and these big windows. So we started getting calls for the big complex doors, the big mulled windows, the stuff that framers didn't want to touch. And so I just in order to keep those guys, took that business, and then that business took off. And so I started building less and less and doing a lot more installation. And so this was my way to get back to what I really like, which was seeing the build from start to finish.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. I like too, recognizing there was a need, right? Obviously, but focusing all your energy on a certain portion of it so that you could do it really well. I think that's really admirable.
And when I'm building whole projects, that's how I feel, right?
Yeah.
Because you're constantly going from, a professional from this to this to this to this.
Yeah.
But then also at the same time, when we were doing the windows, it was great, but you lose control over the prep and the finish.
Yeah.
And so you have all this in your mind, and you went to all this effort to make sure this is done, and then you come back and it wasn't done that way. And you're like, what a waste, you know?
Yeah.
So I enjoy having control over it from before the window even arrives to the paint at the end, to really ensure that it's the best product it can be.
So on that note, and maybe there's something that's going to come to mind immediately. If not, maybe I need to just find out later. Are there some common mistakes that people make on window installation? Get it up until the part where you would come in with your guys. If there were a couple things that you could be I wish they would always get this part right. What do people usually get wrong?
So common mistakes is I prefer screws over nails, and framers love nail guns. Mm-hmm. So they shoot nails that can damage the fins. It's harder to shim and level a window. And so a lot of times I'll just have to provide the hardware that I want them to use. It takes a little more time, but that's a big one I think that you can control, especially on functioning windows. And then most people around construction understand the basic aspect of how to flash and lap a window. Mm-hmm. But then the execution of it is another story, right? You can throw the tape up there, but does it get rolled and sealed? Is the liquid sealant covering the transitions effectively, or did somebody just goop it up there to say it was done?
On there, right?
And so managing those, for lack of a better words, so elementary details that people just assume they're done right. Is where the battle is won. I mean, we've torn out so many windows, and it's just a little pinhole in the back of the pan, or it's where the caulk didn't come down over the transition corner. Okay. Right? But that negative pressure, it might as well be a hose pointed into the house.
Yeah, I always when I'm talking to people that are going through the process of doing this, like, think like water. Like, if you're water, where are you going to go? And it, like that pinhole, it's not going to hold water out, right? Yeah. And the way that you're flashing everything. And it is so important to just really focus and pay attention to the details, not just check off the list. Did I put tape on it? Right. Because it matters. Water will go everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
And everyone focuses on that envelope layer of sealant, right? We really have 3 layers of redundancy. You've got the exterior seal, you've got your closed foam seal, which acts as an insulator as well, and you have your interior seal. So you want that redundancy as a house ages and you might have failure of product in 10, 15, 20 years. That redundancy is what's going to keep you chugging on.
Yeah.
So we've had a lot of rain recently. In my house, still under construction after several years. But one of the benefits of being really slow is you keep things exposed for a long time so you can identify problems. And up until now, everything's been working pretty nicely, but we had that super heavy rain. And oh my goodness, water is just pouring into the inside above one of my windows. And I hadn't put the insulation in yet, so I could see in that gap. And so I get up on a stool because it was tall, and I look in this little gap, and I can see the backside of they're flangeless windows, European style. So I could see the back of the tape.
Yep.
And there is this, 8-inch just slice right through the tape. I have no idea how it happened. It's been there since installation, presumably, because I haven't gotten to that point yet. Water was just flowing in through there.
Yeah.
Which, had I put my back dam on, that would have stopped it, but that water would still be in there, right? So thankfully I was able, I'm not sure how I'm going to fix it because I have exterior insulation and my siding is on already. But
it's funny because I've actually had a couple conversations this morning already about last night's rain. Last night's rain is the perfect testing for water.
Oh, yeah.
Because when we were doing warranty work, installations would be done and a year, sometimes even 2 years would go by, nothing. And then you'd get that sideways rain, heavy wind storm like we had last night. And that's when they fail, right? Because that lap effect, you said think like water and everyone thinks, oh, it's just dripping down the house. But not, it's a hose being sprayed on your house, right?
Yeah.
And so it finds new holes.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so let's talk a little bit about your role here. You've been here a couple years now.
That's right.
And working on a very complex project. What do you think about? Could you walk us through maybe a week in the life of you, or also maybe more focused a day in the life? What is it exactly? What are your roles, and what do you do?
Sure. So on a kind of bird's eye view, there's really 2 job responsibilities. One is the construction and executing the project the way it's planned. The second is client management. So client management is a huge part of the project, not just because they're our customer, but because it helps the project flow smoother and more efficiently. Right? So I jotted down a couple of things here, like communication, execution, and accountability are the 3 aspects of my job. The communication is with all team members, not just the client, right? And so I'm meeting with the client once a week on site, face-to-face. I find the face-to-face communication is really important. There's electronic updates every week to all the team members, including our in-house team and management. You guys are on that. We've got architects, engineers, subs, a number of different people that need to be facilitated, either collaborating together or just communicating important information to the right people.
Yeah.
Right. And so making sense of that network of communication is a big part of what we do to keep things moving. The execution part is really the easiest part of the job, right? It's the construction. We're all in this because we like construction or love construction. And so doing what we love is easy. If there was no clients, no architects, no engineers, and I just got to go out there and build, it would be great, but it would be really hard to do.
Yeah.
Right. So all these members are necessary for proper execution.
We've previously talked about one way to build trust with the client is to show competency, and that's through the execution, right? That we know how to build houses. We know how to manage the team that's building the houses. And so the execution is, you say it's the easiest part, but I don't know if that's true.
Maybe it's just the most fun part. And so
Yeah, it is.
like
Yeah,
the
it's most
easiest
enjoyable. Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. But it can be easy, but it can also be difficult.
That's right.
Because we do some complex things
right.
for sure. But
that
I'm glad that you think it's easy. I think that's great.
But that problem solving and working together and working with the elite of the industry, that really is why I'm here. That excites me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then, of course, the accountability, right? There's accountability from all facets of the project. There's accountability from the client that's got to make decisions and has got to write the checks. There's accountability from the builder who's got to execute the project the way it's designed with the performance levels that we hold ourselves to. And so that's a standard that we have. There's accountability to the city, and that's primarily around safety standards. In Austin, there's a lot of efficiency concerns too, but that's another standard that we've got to meet. And of course, the design, the aesthetic. There's an accountability to the house itself, right? I mean, in my mind, the house is a member of the team.
Yeah.
Right. And so that house is the legacy. That house is going to be there way after I'm gone, even after the client's gone. It's going to shelter 2, 3, 4, 5 generations down the road. And so I'm accountable to that house and that legacy as well. And so I think accountability.
That perspective. That's really,
right.
That's really cool. Yeah.
And so, it keeps me emotionally invested in the project and having fun. Right?
Yeah.
But also assigning that accountability to subs and knowing, where those lines are drawn between the sub, maybe the design, maybe the engineer, maybe the framer, and knowing where that accountability lies.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about that. How do you best, we are thankfully in a position where we have a great set of subcontractors that we have sort of curated over many years, and they're professionals. But getting those subcontractors to be invested in it and to sort of understand that perspective of accountability, how do you get that across to them?
We wear this shirt to work every day, and it is the most valuable thing that I have on me, the most valuable tool I have on me. A sub that wants to work with you, that wants to impress you, that wants to give you their best is the sub you want to work with.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's number one.
Yeah.
And so you've got to have a sub that wants to give you that level of work. The second thing is, because we have multiple projects, there is an accountability that goes beyond just that project. Mm-hmm. And so he can afford to lose a little money if he made a mistake and correct that mistake, because there's other jobs that he's tied to. The respect goes through to the client as well. And so our subs are extremely respectful to our clients as well to our entire team.
Yeah.
I think that's a really important aspect. And I think that's the difference between people that try to self-manage and hiring a contractor.
Mm-hmm. I think, though, you are selling yourself a little bit short there, because you play a very big role in all of that by the way that you carry yourself on the job, the expectations you have in the cleanliness of the site and the execution of that.
Yeah, I agree, because there's something about, like, every time I've been to your job, it always looks buttoned up. And like, there's something about just the overall atmosphere of walking into a job like that versus one that maybe is just a little raggedy.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. And the nature of customs is a lot of times it's not going to be, you show up on this schedule and you finish, and then it's the next phase, right? There may be several phases that are jumping around in different aspects of the house.
A lot of overlap.
And so you've got to call your electrician and say, hey, I know you were just here last week, but this other thing popped up. And so when you have a job site that's clean, that's safe, there's accessible power, you've got temporary air conditioning, you've got a dehumidifier, on a day like today, they're happy to show up on your site, right? Or if it's 100 degrees outside, they're happy, if you call them and say, oh, I need you. It's like, great. I'm glad you called. You're air conditioned. I'll be over there. Directly. So that's part of it. Another thing is, for me personally, I need an organized space for my mind to be organized.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times, you asked about how my day-to-day looks. And when I open up my site, I start my day by going to the site, unlocking everything, making sure everything's turned on, lights are on, cords are out of the way. But that sort of starts my day, and getting things cleaned up and organized puts my head in the space that I need to be. And so it's as much for the site as it is for me. But I do appreciate that feedback from subs also, that they appreciate that it's clean and organized and their materials are safe. And
and the clients and the neighbors.
Yeah.
They all appreciate it.
Clients for sure. And we do have this unique aspect to our job that we have camera crews coming in and out of our job sites, sometimes at a very short notice.
Yeah.
So it's nice to be prepared.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, let's go through actually your day a little bit more detailed. So you show up to the site, you open everything up, you sort of wrap your head around what it is you'll be working on the day, and then what follows from that?
Yeah, so I try to beat the scheduled work to kind of get things opened up, get the plans laid out, any documentation that the sub scheduled for that day might need. When they get there, we do a pre-walk, initiate the work, discuss any obstacles. I'll then start to sort of clean up, organize the site, stay present for that sub until he's kind of gotten into a rhythm of his work and there's no more questions. Oftentimes, this is when I schedule other appointments with future work. My weekly appointments with the client, with the architects are usually mid-morning. So it gives me time to start the subs. Then I've got that break while I'm waiting for them to smooth out. So usually by lunchtime, most guys will take lunch breaks. And that gives me a chance. I'm not one of those guys, but that gives me a chance to, run off site and get some materials they might need, go hit a printer, hit to the office, maybe check on another job site, and then sort out for the afternoon. I try to keep my afternoons a little more flexible to handle administrative duties. A lot of times job site needs that may have come up from that morning, materials. This is usually when I schedule for the next day and start lining out materials for the next day. Education training seminars that we do are typically scheduled in the afternoons. And then if I can, I'll close the site down myself, go by, take any pictures, documentation. Documentation is a big part of my day. It starts my day, closes my day. Things that come out throughout the day get photographed and documented through our softwares. For me, the job is in the field. Sometimes I have to sort of force myself to sit down at a desk and stick to the administrative clerical duties, which is where the battle is won at the end of the day. Right? To stay on budget, to stay on schedule, to maintain consistent progress, to maintain that trust with the client. That regular, consistent communication takes a lot of thoughtful effort, I should say.
I got you.
Your project has a lot of interesting and challenging design details to execute. Tell us a little bit about just what some of those have been over the course of the project so far.
It does. One stands out in particular. We have a screen porch, and it's real common now with modern design to sort of incorporate the inside to the outside. And so these really large sliding doors that slide out of the way and then open up your living space into the outside space. Well, from a building perspective, we still have to treat that outside space like an outside space, as if torrential rain is pouring right onto that door, even if it's a completely closed-in screen porch like ours is. And the other detail that we often have to meet is a flush threshold. People don't want to trip on the sliding door threshold. And so in order to maintain the high level of design and the performance standards that we needed to meet for this large sliding door, we did a split slab. And so a split slab is we poured the slab, set our doors, and then
it's not just a slab. This is a poured concrete floor above a finished basement.
That's right. On a pan deck.
On a pan deck.
It's
not just a slab on the ground.
That's right. So we poured our first slab on the pan deck and we graded for drainage, and we got our sill for the door. And then we created a drainage plane with a drainage mat, different layers of protective waterproofing. And then we put another slab on top of that with a small drainage weep right in front of the threshold of the door. So any weepage off the door, any failure at the door, any sideways rain is going to find its way into that little weep hole and drizzle down in between the two slabs to a drain that we have that's got weep holes in the middle and on the surface. So we'll have surface drainage and split slab drainage all on a screen porch that has 100% coverage.
Simple.
Yeah.
Right. But it's come out beautifully. The architects worked with us to make sure the design was a match to what they wanted. We worked with Matt actually really closely on that too. And
so you just talked extensively about all the planning and preparation has to go in for the floor, but the ceiling is equally as important because that ceiling is the floor framing for the for the interior space above it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's got to be completely airtight and weatherproof as well. And there's a lot of penetrations. Talk a little bit about what's going on in that ceiling.
That's right. So we ended up carrying our envelope across that ceiling to protect the conditioned space above.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also have some design standards we're trying to meet, like with the doors and the windows, the exposure on the frame. And then our ceiling wood is so much. So we have to use a thin membrane to create that envelope. And we used Sika material.
Yeah, MyVest,
which was an 85% permeability product that was recommended by our envelope specialist. And then you really have to go around and detail all your seams and transitions and penetrations. Speakers are my least favorite for air penetrations. So we create a rigid foam box that goes into the subfloor, and then we can seal that.
Okay.
So that the speaker lives in an airtight box.
I see. Yeah.
But yes, air sealing, that ceiling
There's
has
heaters and fans and
been
lights.
an ongoing
There's all
process.
kinds of stuff in there.
Yeah.
We've got heaters, which have some fire resistant, standards you've got to meet. We've got fans. They've got some screens that come down electronically that cover the openings. We've got a fireplace and, against the designer's wishes, that now has a TV above it. So that needs a mantle. So we're always, bridging that gap between the client's priorities, which is function, the designer's priorities, which is aesthetics, and then our priorities, which is performance and everybody smiling.
Yeah. And it being durable, right?
And durability, of course.
Yeah.
And so we went back and forth on that, but we did bring in some additional resources. We had a couple of on-site meetings with the most experienced people at the company, and I feel like we gave them a really good solution.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see that space finished. It's really special. That I don't know what you guys are calling it, that patio area, but it's like our screen porch.
Yeah,
it's like right at the entry. It's in the main space. It's like it's a real feature in that house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just the overall, the lot is narrow. It's an infill lot. The amount of things that you're getting into this house in that narrow space is really spectacular. And to have that outdoor living space on such a small lot is rare, I think.
For sure.
Yeah.
It does. It's really a collection of all of the challenges you could face in modern construction, all in one project.
Yeah.
Which keeps us on our toes.
So where are you at right now on that project? What phase are you in?
So this week we've got hardwood floors going in.
Okay.
We're still executing some tile, and then we'll have brick as the last exterior element for the exterior.
Nice.
So we're looking at 3 to 4 months with the finish. Cabinets are being delivered. So we've really just turned the corner into the finish phase.
Yeah, it's such a fun phase when it starts to go from construction site more to a home, a livable space. Kind of day by day it changes. It's an exciting phase, I think.
Yeah.
So you being whatever, a window and door guy, I don't know why I keep saying that, but what is your,
you're always
that's my role.
I feel like
what I do here.
But that's like kind of the beauty. Like everyone on our team has like interesting backgrounds. And like even on a project I've worked on, I've asked you I didn't even know, when you don't really know the answer to the question or even what the realm of possibilities are, I thought the answer might be shorter, but I think I asked you like, hey, have you ever worked with this door company? I'm looking for a door for this. And then
the whole backstory.
I got like all this other information. It's like, okay.
Yes. This guy, ask for this guy.
No.
But so I know you have enjoyment in all of the phases, but is there a particular portion or phase of a project that you really are drawn to and like the most?
Yeah, for sure. The waterproofing and air sealing after the framing is up is my favorite. I think for a couple of reasons. It's really rewarding to see the house coming together so quickly, right?
Yeah.
Through the framing. And we're intimately involved in that process. We're on the site, problem solving with the carpenters every day, throughout the day. And then the air sealing a lot of times is me out there making sure that those corners are sealed, that the goop is on there correctly, that the tape is holding. And so I really feel like I'm involved in the build the most at that process.
Yeah.
The third reason, which maybe I should admit to, is kind of everyone's out of your way. No one really wants to be there on a muddy, rainy, no cover, nowhere to hide from the shade. And so we're just out there doing our thing.
Yeah.
Right. And it's a lot of fun. And the framer crews are colorful, right? They're fun. They're cooking on their hot plates, playing loud music. And,
always a lot of music.
It's a fun culture that time of the job.
Yeah. I do think for me, I don't know, I love all the aspects, but the sort of planning up all the way, getting a job started, foundation, framing, drying in, to me, that phase is, I sort of feel the most
it's the build
involved.
Yeah. I love watching framing. I'm always so impressed by the work that framers in particular do and how quick and skilled they are.
Yeah.
It's fun. And stuff is happening quickly. Like you're seeing lots of progress, which is really fun.
Helps when you have a good framer.
Yeah, that's probably the big part of it.
I do think too, sort of the finishing phase is difficult in that you oftentimes have several different subcontractors working on several different things at once to maintain schedule or at least to coordinate details. And so I find myself, I was on a job a few years ago where the house itself was actually 4 different buildings, and I would walk 8 miles a day.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
And never leave the house because I'm constantly
going back and forth.
And I would literally have guys standing in line to ask me questions. So I would have 3 deep guys wait. And so then I'd come over here and I'd talk to this guy, and then I'd go back to the other side of the house and work on a detail with this guy over here. And I love that too.
It's nice.
Yeah, that's really fun.
To spread out.
I think the variability between different things, all of the change is actually why I think construction is so fun, because there's so many different types of tasks that go on over the life of a project.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is, we always talk about the balance of trying not to be reactive, do your planning, be proactive of getting ahead of problems, but inevitably a significant portion of your day, your week, your month, whatever is reactive, because everything that we do is so unique that there isn't just a cookie cutter way that you do it. And so you have to be reactive as well, which I think is fun.
That's kind of how my day ends up being, right?
Yeah.
It's the morning is a little more regimented and structured, and the afternoon is reactive. It's reacting to what happened in the morning.
Yeah.
And fulfilling those needs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Cool. Should we ask him the question?
Yeah, let's do it.
That wasn't prepped for
Yeah. So we're asking all the project managers the same question. If you weren't doing this current job, if you weren't in project management, what would you want to do?
So, my father was also a pilot, and I grew up around aviation, civil aviation, small planes. And I started flying when I was 17 years old. Always loved it. And I still do fly.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
And so never really considered doing it professionally. But I could see myself doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds fun.
For me to stick with a job, I have to enjoy it.
For sure.
So I enjoy flying, and I could see that being.
So tell me about that a little. Where do you fly to? What's the flying all about?
It becomes less about function of getting somewhere and more about the enjoyment of flying.
Yeah. Okay.
So a lot of times I'll grab one of my kids, and there's this little community of airports and airport diners where you fly in and it's like an old school diner, and $100 a guest gets you a free breakfast or something.
Yeah.
Right? And so these old timers, and everyone looks at their planes, and it's kind of a Sunday morning thing.
Interesting.
We do that. There's fly-ins. I flew the kids to an air show a few weeks ago. We stayed for the air show.
Yeah.
I've got family in Houston, so we go there, a lot. And then we like Santa Fe, and that's an easy flight that I come in before the mountains.
Yeah.
So it's pretty safe. And those are pretty much my missions.
That's awesome.
Nice. Those are cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So you've been flying how long? Since you were a teenager?
So 17.
Oh my God.
I mean, on and off,
Yeah.
you're just trapped in life sometimes, but
Yeah.
I got back into it after the kids got a little older, and just decided this needs to be a part of our life.
Ah, that's awesome.
Love
That's
it.
really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah,
It's good to get to
thanks,
hear
y'all,
from you.
for having me.
Yeah.
This is
Thanks for
neat.
doing such a great job and being part of the team. Really enjoy having you as a member of our team.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to hear the podcast.
Cool.
All right. See y'all.
Nice, dude. That's it for another episode of Work in Process. Thanks for listening. If you've got a question, a topic suggestion, or want to start a project with us, send an email to hello@risingerbuild.com.
You can also find us on Instagram at risingerbuild_ATX or on YouTube by searching Risinger Build. We'd love to hear from you.